Firstly, that the are you holding out your hand to say that I need to stop? Is that one more? So right, okay. Go like that, then I'll know what you mean. Vince not only said years ago that the kind of bonus bonanza, the unsustainable over-leveraged model in banking was unsustainable economically, but so was this treatment of the housing market as a kind of crazy sort of roller coaster on which people sought to make huge profits, as if they were sort of gambling on a roulette table rather than actually investing in homes for themselves. And I remember very well, and Vince remembers this better than I do, absolutely dismissed, as ever. As we were dismissed on Iraq, as we were being dismissed on the environment, as we were dismissed on the civil liberties, dismissed, oh, no, it doesn't matter. It really does matter. We've allowed housing to become, and you know this better in this part of London, which is probably one of the most overheated housing markets anywhere, I guess, pretty well anywhere in Europe would be my guess. Quite how damaging that is. It penalises particularly young families who want to start finding a home for themselves. I'll tell you one important technical change we would introduce immediately is we would legislate to ensure that inflation in housing prices is included in the calculations used by the central bank, so that you have interest rates which are properly set to reflect what's actually going on in the property market as well as the rest of the real economy. And one of the things, of course, you could argue has gone wrong over several years is that the signals from the housing market weren't being responded to by the monetary authorities, and we would fix that. There are a number of other things that we would do. You say that supply is not. I mean, supply is one of the important solutions. We want to see a program of mass conversion of empty properties into properties which people can buy and can live in, into affordable homes. We want to see things as relevant here, but it is in many other parts of the country. These big high-rise private developments full of one-person flats actually converted into a family accommodation. We want to see local authorities have the freedom to borrow against their own assets so that they can actually invest in housing. But yes, you're right, we need to have proper signals between the inflation and the housing market interest rates. Of course, you're right about pensions being eroded. We want to see the immediate restoration of the earnings link, which was broken by the Conservatives, and the short-changed pensions. I think all of those measures, when they're taken together, will wave a magic wand overnight over a part of the country like this, where I suspect affordable housing is in particularly short supply. No, but I think they'll go a long way over a period of years to deal with an issue which, by the way, we talked about immigration earlier. The two issues which come up in these kind of meetings, and have done in the 2 years I've been doing these kind of meetings, week in, week out, come up more than anything else, is the lack of affordable housing and the issue of immigration. And agree or not with what we're saying, but I think the Liberal Democrats, we've distinguished ourselves in this election campaign in at least struggling to provide right answers to those big problems that a lot of people are very anxious about. One more question. Lady over there. Yeah.
Hi, I'm a first-time voter, so this is quite exciting for me. Politically speaking, the Lib Dems have a greater affinity with the Labour Party than with the Tories. You have a greater affinity, politically speaking. But bearing in mind this isn't a presidential election, does it not make sense to honour that affinity in a hung parliament with the Labours and with the Tory party? Yeah.
Why are you looking at your phone? Is this text through for someone else? Is this your question, or is this a sort of phone a friend thing?
This is my friend who introduced me to the Lib Dems. Oh my God.
Well, where is your friend?
He couldn't make it.
He couldn't make it? Well, tough. I'm going to take another question. No. I don't actually agree with that characterisation. I think if you look at the strong differences we've had with the Labour Party over the last 13 years, where we have been the staunchest opponents of the Labour Party, not the Conservatives, on the erosion of civil liberties, on the failure to reform our clapped-out political system, on the decision to illegally invade Iraq, which, let's remember, since the Conservatives are so good at airbrushing this out of the record, a higher proportion of Conservative MPs voted with enthusiasm for the illegal invasion of Iraq than even Labour MPs did. There is a centralising, authoritarian tendency to the Labour Party, the modern Labour Party, which is absolute anathema to Liberals, in the same way that we will never agree with the Conservatives' indifference to social injustice, for their absolutely crackers plan to use £6 billion of your money to give a massive tax cut, up to a £250,000 tax cut, to the tiny fraction of the wealthiest estates in this country. I mean, at a time of recession, what on earth do they think they're doing? And I genuinely believe that if you look at the sort of strands of thinking in British history over the last 100 years or so, there are three great big political philosophies. There's the socialism, it's collectivism, which sort of regards society as a sort of moving great groups of people around and pulling the levers of the state to sort of administer social justice. That's the ethos of the Labour Party. You've got conservatism, which, as its name kind of implies, basically thinks that things shouldn't change too much, pretty pessimistic about the possibility of really improving the social order. You tinker with it here and there if you have to, but you basically want to conserve it. And then there's liberalism, which starts, as I said earlier, with the absolute primacy and integrity and importance of the individual. You should be allowing the individual the freedom, the autonomy, the support to get ahead and live out aspirations unencumbered by prejudice, vested interests, people trying to hold you down. Those are three really distinct philosophies. Really distinct philosophies. Now, sometimes they get a bit muddied. Sorry? It's a bit like my question to my angst-ridden friend over there about voting reform. I think liberalism is on the rise. I think it's in tune with your kind of aspirations. So don't worry about, vote for the Liberal Democrats. It isn't a vote for the Conservatives. It's not a vote for Labour. It's a vote for those values. Sorry? It's going to change the world. So come on, vote for the Liberal Democrats. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that's the message that Nick Clegg wants to get out there. We're going to change the world. He's campaigning in Richmond this evening, and earlier on he did say that the party has 3 days to change Britain. The sky is the limit. Just 3 days of campaigning to go, though, and the polls are putting the Tories ahead, but not by enough to get a majority. So, as you would expect, Gordon Brown, Nick Clegg, and David Cameron are making the most of these last 3 days of campaigning. We'll continue to bring you everything that they're doing on the campaign trail throughout the following days and the rest of the evening. Now, though, the Prime Minister of Thailand has said he is prepared to hold elections